Meanwhile, there is Ebola that appears to be becoming more and more resistant to being able to live in the air at least a little while. And it's spreading all over the place. And a lot of top virologists, again, estimate 5 million will die. I'm not saying that. That's in the major German newspapers like Bild. Not tabloids. And Obama's sending troops in to, quote, fight it who aren't trained. And General Boykin's gone public in WorldNet Daily and said it's horrible. They would never do that in the past. See, I'm no military man, but I've read the news over the years religiously, and I know that that's missions they wouldn't do in the past because they know that it'll just spread it and then bring people back with it, and it really doesn't even do any good. But it doesn't matter. They're doing it anyways, and they're going to bring people back here. See, they don't do things the way they did in the past. It's a recklessness. It's a wildness of an elite that's above the law, unaccountable, gets away with anything they want. In China, melamine got in the baby formula, and they executed a bunch of the executives, not defending their system. I'm just saying here, the executives owned the media. They just had USA Today come out and say, well, the FDA came out and said, but they reported, hey, some melamine, not bad. It's just enough, to cause kidney failure down the road. But hell, the kid will be 30 when his kidneys fail. Won't know why. Hell, what's wrong with going on dialysis for a decade and then dying? I mean, come on. What's wrong with Bayer knowingly? NBC News, you can just type in Bayer blood scandal. Knowingly, in more than 14 countries, from the United States to Australia, from India to Canada, from France to Russia, sold factor VIII blood platelet in giant batches produced from blood from prisons, and they knew every single production of it. Giant vats of different blood types poured together had HIV and hepatitis in it. And they shipped it out. And it came out in the memos, and France was the only country to convict anybody, that the executives knew it and said, so what? Oh, man, hey, so what? So what? People need some clotting agent, hemophiliacs. So what if you're a little kid and you're a hemophiliac and you take factor VIII and then you die, horrible, excruciating HIV and hepatitis? So what? Just kill them. And hey, don't ever criticize that or you're anti-government, man. Just bend over and take it from Bayer Pharmaceuticals. After all, they did such a great job in Nazi Germany, didn't they? And maybe one of you fruitcakes out there could send me an email about how good Hitler was. I'm going to throw up. What we're fighting, Hitler adopted from the nuts that run society. Oh, God, it makes me sick. It makes me so sick how there's just all these cowards just going along with this as it gets worse and worse. We're going to tell you what's coming up with the nationalist leader urges Scots to grasp independence. Campaign borrowed heavily from Obama tactics. British pound at 2-year high. Currency traders bet no. Voting begins. I heard Lord Monckton on the other day when I had a guest host near Rob Dew. And I got his point. I mean, he'd say we could have independence if we weren't under the EU, but the EU is just going to come in and take over Scotland anyways. And then you've got basically the Labour that's basically like the Democrats, and as bad as the Tories are, this is just going to be like a communist wonderland. And that's kind of what will happen. You'll trade one boss for a new boss, like the WHO says, won't get fooled again. But hey, if they want to vote independence, that's fine. They will then go through that process of being raked over the coals like anybody that joins the Euro. Basically, Scotland's just joining the Euro, even though England's already joined it to be gang raped more. And I said there's pitfalls to this. I support it if they want to vote for it. Because you're just going to leave one system and go right back into the same system's arms another way. It's kind of like you're throwing a ball from your left and right hand. I don't know. It's a very sophisticated issue. It's bizarre. All right, let's go to this special report dovetailing real reality in 2014 with 12 Monkeys from 1999. Put together by Rob Dew. Here it is. Hope everybody enjoys. This is undoubtedly a beta test, but Prince Philip said he wanted to come back reincarnated as a particularly deadly virus to exterminate 90% of the world population and contribute something, in his words. You can read that in the London Guardian, by the way. We covered it a few days ago, as you know. And they all say that they're just getting everybody ready. And the drones and robots and automated systems will help take out whoever's left who tries to fight back. See, I realize now that I'm just here literally as a stopgap measure, and so are you. If we don't stop it now, we're planting information warfare time bombs out there in the record, the mental record. The way the cloud works, they can expunge my voice worldwide, your voice very easily in the future in just a matter of minutes. But still, the memory will live on in your mind and in written word. And so everybody just needs to understand that they are preparing, if not this round, but down the road, airborne Ebola, mousepox, and other things. I'm going to say it again. We have a normalcy bias in the Overton window. If you don't know what those two terms are, and you're a new listener, write them down, look them up. We have a normalcy bias in the Overton window where they have politically got us to where we will accept almost anything. Almost anything. And once they get a population to that point, it's Soviet Russia, it's Nazi Germany squared with all this high-tech garbage. And so I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm trying to get people moving to not worry about this. To not worry about the system trying to crush us, but worrying about the larger program coming to fruition. You shouldn't worry about yourself individually being attacked when you're trying to expose the New World Order. You should worry about the fact that people have no chivalry or no even basic culture or basic morals or can't even really communicate, to where it's just a bunch of people milling around mindlessly trying to feel like they've done something of value. And the only places you can have a male role model is in sports or as a government enforcer. And that'll all be gotten rid of once they've got the robots rolled out. And that's all stated. It's the end of humanity, ladies and gentlemen. It's the end of what we are as we know it, and it's being prepared. And I don't believe that this Ebola outbreak is that. It's a process of successive plagues that are going to get worse and worse as they pose as the saviors, driving us further under their black wings, where we could be safe. As the third world dies, as Africa and Latin America dies, as Asia areas die, as areas of Europe die, and only the controlled citadels of social engineering are allowed to go forward. And it'll kind of be a wink, wink. Well, it was allowed to be released to save the earth, but those of us within the dome cities are safe. That's where all this is going. That's why you see it in all the culture and all the movies for 50, 60, 70 years in the books, because H.G. Wells and others were exterminist, eugenicist, Fabian socialists on record. And they are preparing you for a societal memory to accept this and to accept your bad and accept laying down and accept rolling over. Everything they do is about making people cowardly. Can you imagine if they had cameras in school bathrooms 50 years ago, people, as our guest yesterday said, John McAfee, would burn the school down? You do it today, it's like big deal. It's the government, let them. Briefly, as we end the shower, prepare to get our guest on and go over some more of the news. Please remember, we are listener supported, and that means spreading the word about this broadcast, whether you listen on AM and FM, shortwave, internet, the free podcast, Infowars.com/show. You can find all the free podcast, video feeds, audio feeds, all of it. They don't want you to hear this. The system pulls their hair out because it's not the season yet to just go ahead and wipe out the media. It's just audit them, demonize them, set them up, run black ops, cognitive infiltration, COINTELPRO 2.0. That's the game plan publicly. See, because they need all the agents to feel like it's okay so they can put it in the newspaper. Know that they do all these criminal things. They normalize it. That's why it's important to become a PrisonPlanet.tv subscriber and realize, ladies and gentlemen, we literally are flying into the flag cloud here. This is not a game. You have to understand that when they attack any media, when they attack independent media, when they attack truth tellers, they're attacking you. And so how do you fight back? You spread the word. You reach out to others. You get a prisonplanet.tv membership today. 11 people can use it. Download the films, watch the live show, see the nightly news, and so much more. Prisonplanet.tv. Second hour straight ahead. Stories up on Infowars.com. ISIS has, quote, threatened the U.S. military, timing suspect as House votes to fund jihadists. And then they'll have them literally put like 14-year-old conscripts out to be blown up. Basically go make them sit in a Jeep and get blown up, or in a Toyota. I shouldn't laugh about this. I've seen the globalists do it before. While the jihadis then get the missiles and the weapons to go kill Christians. And our military dropping bombs will actually believe they're killing Al-Qaeda. They did that in the invasion of Afghanistan. And then the locals are so primitive, you could say, in many of these areas, like Afghanistan, that they will then fight back because they're seeing their country get bombed, and then that'll be called the terrorist. And really, they're just killing poor farmers. But this is now, of course, in Syria and Iraq. ISIS released their latest propaganda video threatening jihad if the U.S. puts boots on the ground. This is the plan to play everybody off against each other. And our military, again, because of this show and others, now knows that this is all staged. And our military may have been involved in some wars they weren't supposed to, but on average, they were highly dedicated people that really believed in what they were doing. And now they are freaking out that they have been a party to all this for so long. Just in time for the false flags here in America to be blamed on the liberty movement. It's just horrible. They're going to want the Republicans that are going to sweep into office in the House and probably even the Senate to purge the libertarians out of the Republican Party. That's what the elite are basically pushing right now. And so you can expect to see that. This is the season of stage crisis. This is the season of going after the Tea Party and Christians and veterans and patriots. This is the season when they're going to loose the dogs. But there's a real opportunity in this if we speak up and stand up and get in their face when they lie about us and twist and deceive and do the things they do. We have the moral high ground. And it's going to be an epic time. This is the animating contest of liberty that Thomas Jefferson talked about so much. The animating contest of liberty is now upon us. The battle has begun. Cry havoc and let loose the dogs of war, to quote William Shakespeare. I forget, is that from Richard III or is that from Othello? I forget. Cry havoc and let loose the dogs of war. Fiery the angels fell. That's not Shakespeare. It's it's a famous poet, but then mixed with other stuff by Rutger Hauer. Fiery the angels fell. Deep thunder rolled around their shores, burning with the fires of Orc. We're going to go to break and come back with Dr. Grip, hit some other news I haven't gotten to yet. Here's that headline I mentioned earlier. General says sending military to fight Ebola, misuse of soldiers. That's the former head of Special Forces, General William G. Boykin. That's just some of the news on that front. But don't worry, the real news is another former NFL player got arrested for domestic violence. You know, Al-Qaeda chopping women's heads off and kids' heads off, that's not a big deal. Sexually mutilating hundreds of thousands of women all over the Middle East. Currently that they're grabbing, that's no big deal, according to them. It's all to, somebody spanked their kid.
The
globalist social engineers are not just targeting us with propaganda. They are manipulating our genetics. We are being targeted at every level by estrogen mimickers that lower our testosterone and other hormones and natural compounds that the body needs. After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO organic super male vitality formula sourced from powerful organic herbs and then concentrated for maximum potency. Super male vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals. Super male vitality by InfoWars Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose. For a limited time, we are offering 15% off Super Male Vitality at InfoWarsLife.com to introduce you to this powerful supplement. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your Super Male Vitality. InfoWarsLife.com.